intervention in textiles. I would like to call upon our chairperson, Dr. Milkessa Jagema Tolera from Government of Ethiopia. I would like to call upon Mr. Rahul Garg, Manager SGS India Private Limited. I would like to call upon Ms. Dolly Bhasin, Founder SmartEdge Fashiontech, and our moderator for the session, Dr. Ajit Nigam, CEO NIFT Foundation for Design Innovation, and also a foreign delegate from Zimbabwe, Ms. Victoria. Thank you. The name of the company which is represented by Rahul Kumar Garg ji is Bakson India. Thank you. I would like to call upon Ms. Ekta Kumar. Hello. I would like to call upon Ms. Ekta Kumar on the stage, please. And Ms. Sonia Lamba to facilitate our foreign delegates from Zimbabwe and Ethiopia. Tolera from Government of Ethiopia. Please have a picture, or please have a picture. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to now call upon Ms. Ekta Kumar and Ms. Sonia Lamba to facilitate our another delegate from Zimbabwe, Ms. Victoria. Now I would like Manishi, he is a startup of NFDI, to give his startup, which is a face mask, to all our all our esteemed panelists on the dais. Thank you. Okay, back to stage again. The very interesting lineup in the panel, and I chose to sit in the corner so that I can see my panel members, and we would kickstart this looking at technology interventions in the textile space. Textile being the oldest industry, it has kind of lacked the technological upgradation which is happening, especially from the perspective of information technology. And as I was discussing offline with the multiple people, that though this was the industry which gave birth to industrial revolution. And as Secretary was mentioning, the first technical device also came out from this industry. We've kind of slightly behind now, and the time has come for us to integrate technology into the oldest industry and leverage so that employment opportunities can be generated, income can be enhanced, and the economic development of a country moves forward. Especially I would like to hear from each of you, starting with Dolly ji, on what kind of technological interventions are possible. So my request to you is that let's talk about it for a short while, and then let's interact and try to come to a conclusion that what are the technologies, what are the steps forward, and that is the rationale for this panel. So Dolly, from a technological perspective, especially looking at the triangulation of IoT, AI, and blockchain and other kind of things, what can we do in the space of technology? Over to you.
Thank you, Nigam.
Can I get a mic, please? Yeah, please carry on.
So, I just left the space and really looking at what are the problems that the fashion industry and the textile industry faces because of the negative environmental impact. So that is one area that needs to be addressed, and which is what gives rise to looking at technologies which will help us overcome these challenges. One of the biggest challenges has been in the supply chain, especially when you are really looking at fashion, which is the biggest component of the textile manufacturing process, or where the real money is. So when we talk about fashion, we have fast fashion, which actually gives rise to not just 1 or 2 seasons in a year, but at least 6 to 7 seasons. You keep on constantly producing more and more stuff, which leads to a lot of overproduction and underconsumption, despite the fact that there is a lot of disposable income that people have, but most of the products that they buy, they don't get even a chance to wear it even once. So we need to look at technologies which will really look at the demand as well as the supply, and also look at the inefficiencies of the supply chain through integrated technology interventions, which means that we need to really kind of make sure that we have not only the traceability of the product from where it is being designed, from where it is being sourced, which farm it produced, whether it was a cotton which is organic cotton, or whether it is a textile that has been used which has been using eco-friendly material, which is where blockchain comes into picture. And also to assess the demand, we can have machine learning, and we have predictive analytics which look at the demand side as well as the supply side in terms of the entire production process. Then we have smart manufacturing, which basically allows you to really look at manufacturing processes that reduce waste, and also how can we really reuse that waste into the system by upcycling the garments or upcycling the waste textile material. In the whole process, we also need to really look at what are the kind of water consumption and what are the kind of energy consumption that we have to, which we are using, because there is a lot of greenhouse gas emissions which need to be tracked. Then again can be tracked through a blockchain-based network and bring in sustainability. The last but not the least is trying to really create what is called the digital fashion, where we really look at first getting a sense of what is really required, and without producing it, actually get a digital version of that product, which is called digital twin, to really, once you know that what this product is going to look on me by trying it out virtually, you can actually then place an order and get it in the color that you want and get it manufactured in the same process. And today technologies exist for that, which is using automated placement. More for that, I think we'll
thank you, Dolly. Beautifully put. So you're looking at the value chain and the supply chain coming together, and multiple technologies ensuring that we take care of the circular economy in the real sense. So I want to ask you a question, that when we start looking at technology, and we need to ensure that the last mile from the customer perspective, what kind of technologies could be useful there? So that, say suppose there is an artisan in some province of the country, and he or she is selling a product, and it has to reach the last mile. How would the last mile, the customer who actually buys it, start interfacing with the producer? So can we look at something of that sort?
Thanks, Dr. Nigam. Now the answer to your question would be, that there are a number of applications which are available nowadays. and the startups or the companies, they can come up with their mobile applications. And nowadays, most of the people have the Android phones also, so which are easily accessible to the people. Now, apart from this mobile application, I would like to add one or two more technological developments also. Because as you know that the water is the biggest, I would say कि अगर future में कभी world war हुआ, so it is going to happen only for the water. So we have to really address the water issues as of now. And the textile industry, as you know, is the biggest user of the water also. So for that reason, there are a number of technological developments which are happening. And one of them is the waterless dyeing and the waterless printing processes that are also coming, which are all based on the ozone technology. Nowadays, we are consuming almost more than 100 and 200 liters of water for making one t-shirt. And with this ozone technology, probably we may be using 1 liter of water for 1 kg of fabric. So that is also the future going forward. And in addition to that, the recycling of the fibers. Most of us are aware of the recycled polyester, but nowadays the recycled cotton is also available. And very recently, the recycled nylon is also available with the name Eco-Nile. So these are the technological developments which are happening in the textile world, which are going to help the producers and in fact the final consumers also. Thank you.
Very interesting. So you talked about some specific answers to that. And so my question to a friend from Ethiopia is this, that as far as technology is concerned, the world looks at India in a certain way, that we are producers of technology, and a lot of our technology team have go around the world to implement to them. So from the perspective of your country and Africa at large, what is the current state of technology in the fashion and textile space, and what you feel can be done to enhance that, and what kind of collaboration you would be looking at? So these are 3 questions I have for you.
Thank you very much. From Africa point of view in general, and this Ethiopia in specific, there are abundant resources which is relevant for textile and the garment. As my colleague from Ethiopian Embassy presented previously, there are cotton, which is very abundant in my country. It is a base for textile and the garment and the fashion technology. So first of all, we should care of it, the raw material, the production of raw material. We should care of it, first of all. Especially when we are talking about technology, we should discuss about sustainability of that raw materials. My colleague presently indicates that the circular economy can be applied to be a sustainable development. We should start from the raw material. We pass through production. We should care of it as we have many industrial parks. How we can manage a raw material and storing it effectively, and we have also many industrial parks which is especially full package and sustainably developed to minimize environmentally and environmentally friendly ecosystem at the industrial park. Water treatment, especially when we are talking about textile and garment, it is highly using water. So we should treat water to reuse it and stabilizing it to the recent technology. In our industrial parks, there is a water treatment to minimize a problem of pollution. So we, from the supply chain point of view, we try to link our producers to the European countries and the American through digital relations, digital economy. We try to interlink to them, especially in this 21st century. This is what I want to say.
Right, thank you so much for that. The question to my friend Victoria is this, that he talked about he talked about circular economy and Africa being a place which is producer and is linking to the markets in Europe and in North America. What specific ways or new technology interventions you have seen in your travels around, which is making sense and which can be further diffused to rest of Africa?
Thank you so much for the question. To start with, I would like to just talk about an observation that I've made, being in India for a while, and because mainly the manufacturers in India and the designers in India, most of the times they say, how do we take our brand to Africa? How do we take our brand to the European countries? But in what they are saying, then you get to observe that there is something that they don't really understand about Africa, and that makes it very impossible for them to penetrate the African market. The reason being, they have a certain understanding of Africa. So it takes us to change the way we think about Africa so that we can be able to penetrate through the market. That's what I have observed, that because the world right now has become like a global village. So if you want to penetrate the African market, the European market, you need to first accept that we have become a global village, and that there are no more limitations to what people can become. For example, when people are thinking of exporting like to African market, they will ask you about the designs that they can take to Africa. And when you ask them about the quality of the brand or the designs that they have, unfortunately, it doesn't sell in Africa. So what I would like to encourage manufacturers, designers in India mostly, is to study Africa. Study Africa using the social media platforms that we have. Get an understanding of what they are, of what they like, the styles that they prefer, because that will be pointless for you to stock up on the products that you have, the merchandise that you have, and at the end of the day, you deliver the wrong product. So what people need to do is to use the social media platforms and really understand what African style is all about. I understand that Africa is diverse and each country is very different. It's got its own style, it's got its own taste as well, but there is one thing that brings us together as Africa, that is we love our conservative. We are a conservative people. So if Indian designers, Indian manufacturers can really get to study Africa, there is something that also we have realized, that people don't really understand what Africa is. Like, Africa has got a number of countries, and like I've said, each country has got its own style, has got its own fashion story to tell. So as a manufacturer, you need to study what is the history behind the fashion in Mauritius, what is the history behind the fashion in Zimbabwe, what influences that, before you manufacture stock for them. Because a person here in India can call you and they say, I have stock, I have like over 2,000 pieces of dresses that I would like you to market for me in Africa. And then you say to them, look, show me what you have. And when you look at what they have, it doesn't appeal to Africa. So really, it doesn't mean that there is no business in Africa, but before we make products, before we manufacture, let's get to study the countries that we want to reach to through the social media platforms. Let's get an understanding of who the people are, how our market operates, what are their thinking patterns, what are their styles that they have. So life has been made easy, sir, because of social media, that we are able to get to peep into the next continent without even traveling there.
All right, Victoria, thank you so much for that. Yes, you're right that we need to understand what is the buying pattern,
Yes.
and what are the styles which will sell. That's a homework which each of the startups have to do, or any business has to do.
Right.
You cannot produce and then try to sell.
Right.
You need to understand what the market demands
Right.
and change your orientation and produce for that country. That is very well understood, and I'm sure all the businesses here know this. The question again to Dolly is this: given the scenario that Indian business have to reach out to Africa, a combination of India and African businesses have to reach out to Japan, have to reach out to Northern America, you have to reach out to Europe. Lot of African patents are in high demand in Japan, and we also see that the African patents are also liked here. So it is not just Indian businesses selling to Africa, African businesses can sell to India. The question is, when we look at demand creation and understanding the demand, and Victoria talks about social media, how should we go about looking at demand, understanding of the demand from an artificial intelligence perspective? You need to look at, okay, there are a lot of things happening on the social media, but how do you all actually put together? And my question also has been to a lot of designers, do we really need designers? With artificial intelligence coming in, when you're looking at systems reading out and trying to create a new pattern itself, would you need a designer in the traditional way, or it has to be some sort of a humanoid which would create a design and say, you know what, I looked at 20 crore designs, and from that, this is a new design which can appeal, looking at whatever you read or see in the social media. So look at a futuristic scenario. How would we look at demand in this kind of pattern with so much of technology coming? I mean, we are scared today that if AI actually takes over, and you're a specialist in AI, let's hear from you.
Thank you, Dr. Nigam. So one of the things in the social media where AI is playing a lot of role is basically doing what is called the social listening. This is a process by which you try to really look at what is the sentiment of people in terms of their response towards whatever is being really talked about on social media, whether it is Instagram, whether it is Facebook, or whether it is Twitter, or any other product. So through what is called the scraping of data from these social channels, you try to really find the trends which are happening. A new area that is also emerging is in terms of using what is called a video-based assessing what is the kind of in-store consumer behavior. So for example, you're visiting a store. Where do you really go? Which portion of the store is what most people really look at. Now there's a lot of AI which is being developed, and machine learning models are being developed to really see how we could capitalize on that, so that if any consumer who walks in, which part of the store is what most of them address, and why do they go there, and what is the kind of ratio of sales versus the actual. So there is a look might be attractive, but the product might not be. So what is the kind of look to book ratio is what really gets into the entire parlance, where you really look at these are the products where there are a lot of conversions. These are the products which are not really converting to per se. The whole movement of using the background processes of artificial intelligence also gives this thing of a 360-degree omni-channel presence of the products that you want to really take to the market. So there are new methods in which you not only create a product which is sold by one channel, but by multiple channels, and you integrate the entire response through the digital medium.
Dolly, very interesting aspect. So I want you to dive slightly deeper into this. When we look at machine learning, and you're talking of an omni-channel presence, and when we move from an supervised learning to an unsupervised learning, in the as far as machine learning is concerned, the world would be actually very different that we can even visualize today. How do you look at an unsupervised learning happening by the robots, if I can use by an artificial intelligence system, and then look at customer demand?
Happening, especially large brands are investing heavily into this area. I happen to really interact with some of the top-notch startups in this area through the SPC Fashiontech Milan. I've been a mentor for the last 2 cohorts, and we've been examining and we've been working with a lot of these startups, working with different brands as to what they are looking at. Because of the pandemic, the user behavior, the consumer behavior, the buying patterns have changed drastically. So there is a huge amount of unsupervised learning that is really coming into fore, which was not there in the previous time during this thing, because the previous videos, the videos that were actually shot when before pandemic, is being studied and being really trying to really see how we address these issues during the pandemic, and try to really build the technologies which will really support that when you are doing e-commerce or digital kind of system. So if that answers your question?
Partly because there's so much of learning we have to do when we look at the when you look at the IQ scale, and you look at the hen, the typical example of hen and human being, and AI at 1200 IQ as against us about 90 to 140 for us, it's a big challenge. So it will be a different world in 2050. So how do you visualize that? And I would request you to keep it short so that we can hear the views from other two delegates.
In fact, I would like to add the 3D technology has completely revamped the things now.
True.
And with respect to the 3D technology, now the softwares are available by which you can, put your dress also on the.
It's a different business model. Yeah.
You can see everything. Even you can make your prototypes without, wasting your fabric, without wasting your time. And these are so precise with these 3D technology that your entire time, money, everything is, saved. So the 3D technology has completely taken over the world. And it is going to be the coming time for the 3D technology. The software like Flow, is helping like anything, even you can do the layering, sizing, everything you can do with the Flow software. So all these technology developments has really taken over the world.
True. And so where would you like to see your country in by 2030 as far as technology and textiles are concerned?
Very critical, yeah. As my colleagues say now, especially the artificial intelligence issue is very critical in this 21st century. So, as you said, unsupervised learning is very important. It's not controlled with the market, we can control it. So, this is happening in the future. What I wanted to add all this is the consumer behavior issue is very critical. You should understand the culture of that society to make a market demand, especially the textile and the garment and the fashion issue. You can create a demand. the new generation. It is possible to create a demand. The fashion, the textile, overall the clothing issue, you can create it. But understanding culture is for a market, to create a market, understanding one's culture is very important to conserve to my country. So, especially when we say Africa and Indians are traditional society, they are very close related. They can use, we can exchange many issues on Africa-Indian relations long lasting. So when we are talking about population, more than 1 billion people in Africa and more than 1 million people in India.
I mean, we combine that, that's a huge market.
One side of the world.
Yes.
So many universities are in India, and many Africans are already learning, updating their career here. So many Africans are love Indians. We can develop ourselves together. They are already think us their second motherland. Africans are look like that.
Very interesting. And Victoria, what would be your last words on customer and technology together?
Okay, thank you. So, customer and technology together, I am going back to say, let us as companies embrace technology. Let us move with the time, because everything now is digitalized. There is now no point for us as the fashion industry or as the textile industry to remain behind while the customers have progressed. Because customers right now, they can Google all the other information that they want about the textiles, about the texture, how to manufacture, and you deliver a textile to a client or to customers who really understand the moment they get the fabric, because they would have done a research online. And you as the manufacturer, you are not yet progressive, you are still holding back to the new systems, yet the customers that you want to serve have already advanced or progressed. So I believe as companies, we also need to invest in our technology departments as well, because you find a company, especially in the fashion industry, we may focus on the cutting department, the stitching department, and we don't really have anybody who is playing a major role on the technology department. So if it can be something that can be invested as well, so that we keep moving with the customers, not that the customers are ahead of us, and as the manufacturers or the textile manufacturers, the designers, we are still lagging behind. That will do injustice to all the effort that we are doing. So as companies, I would like to say customer and technology as the people that are the suppliers of the products. Let us get to move with technology.
All right, thank you, Victoria, for this. Excellent points which came up during this discussion, and let's do this. Let's put these points together in a document, and so that clear action points can emerge out of this, and we can start moving forward as a team to look at technology interventions in the fashion and textiles. Thank you very much for your lovely views, and it was a pleasure talking to all of you. And can we have a photograph, please?
Yes. Yes, please. Wait a minute. Thank you very much.
Thank you.